Ghostbusters! Welcome back to the channel, marvelous viewers. Today we're talking about everything we know about Ghostbusters Night Shift, the new animated series coming to Netflix in 2027. Let's get into it. What if you could call a Ghostbuster to remove ghosts from your house just like you would call an exterminator when rats are plaguing your home? That's basically the question Dan Aykroyd asked himself, and it eventually helped create one of the most influential horror comedies of all time, Ghostbusters. Written by Dan Aykroyd and Ramis, Ghostbusters starred Bill Murray, Aykroyd, Ramis, and Ernie Hudson as Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz, Egon Spengler, and Winston Zeddemore, four men who run a ghost-catching business in New York City. At the time, the idea sounded strange on paper. A workplace comedy about paranormal investigators using science fiction gadgets to capture ghosts? That could have gone wrong in 100 different ways. But instead, the 1984 film became a cultural phenomenon. It grossed around $370 million worldwide against a budget usually reported to the $25 to $30 million range. And it spawned a franchise with sequels, cartoons, comics, toys, games, and a fan base that never really went away. And honestly, Ghostbusters fans can never have enough of their favorite franchise. Now, there's a new animated show in the works, and it's called Ghostbusters Night Shift. It's coming to Netflix in 2027, and it'll mark the franchise's return to animation after the real Ghostbusters and Extreme Ghostbusters. So let's find out everything we know about it. The official announcement. There have been sequels, reboots, cartoons, comics, and video games that have tried to capture the magic of the first Ghostbusters film. For many fans, one of the most beloved follow-ups remains The Real Ghostbusters, the 1986 animated series that explained the world of the original movie and became classic in its own right. It wasn't the only animated series in the franchise. Extreme Ghostbusters followed in '97, bringing in a new, younger team under Egon's guidance. That show has its defenders, but it was short-lived and didn't become as universally remembered as The Real Ghostbusters. Because of that, fans were excited when Netflix and Sony began developing a new animated Ghostbusters series. For a while, things were quiet enough that some fans wondered whether the project had stalled. Thankfully, Netflix finally revealed the official title in June 2026, Ghostbusters Night Shift. The announcement confirmed that the series will debut exclusively on Netflix in 2027. Netflix described the show as the next chapter in the franchise's ghoul-catching legacy, bringing supernatural comedy and paranormal action back to animation. This is exactly the kind of phrase fans wanted to hear. Also, the title is perfect. Night Shift immediately fits the Ghostbusters world. Ghosts come out at night, paranormal calls never follow office hours, and the idea of a team handling supernatural emergencies after dark already sounds like classic Ghostbusters territory. So, even though we still don't have a full trailer, episode count, or voice cast, the title and release window are now official. The Ghostbusters are clocking in again.
Maybe now you'll never slime a guy with a positron collider, huh?
What is the story, and is it connected to the original films? Since the series is still in development, we don't know much about the actual plot. Netflix has not released the full story summary, and no official cast of characters has been revealed yet, so anything about the main team, the villains, the timeline, or returning characters should be treated carefully. That said, we do have a few important hints. Back when the new animated project was first discussed, Jason Reitman and Gil Kenan spoke about expanding the Ghostbusters universe across movies, games, comics, and television. The idea was to tell untold stories while moving the franchise forward with new characters and new places. That lines up with what fans were expecting from Night Shift. It may not simply be another cartoon about the original four Ghostbusters doing the same old jobs. It could introduce a new team, a new era, and a fresh corner of the franchise. Jason Reitman has also reportedly described the animated show as canon, and as the kind of Ghostbusters animated series fans want. This is important because it suggests the show is not being treated as a random gag or completely disconnected spin-off. Now, does that mean it will directly follow the original 1984 film? Not necessarily. Canon can mean many things in a franchise like Ghostbusters. It could take place in the same universe as the original films, Afterlife and Frozen Empire, while still focusing on different characters and new supernatural cases. So the safest answer is this. Ghostbusters Night Shift appears to be part of the larger Ghostbusters universe, but the exact timeline and character connections have not been fully revealed. That actually makes the show more interesting. It gives Sony and Netflix room to honor the old films while still building something fresh. Who's making it? The people behind Ghostbusters Night Shift are not strangers to the franchise. Netflix confirms the series is executive produced by Ben Hyben, Elliot Kalin, Jason Reitman, Gil Kenan, Amy Karp, and Dan Aykroyd. That's a strong mix of franchise veterans and animation comedy talent. Jason Reitman and Gil Kenan have been heavily involved in the modern Ghostbusters era. They co-wrote Ghostbusters Afterlife and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, with Reitman directing Afterlife and Kenan directing Frozen Empire. Both are closely tied to the Ghost Corps, the company created to help oversee and expand the Ghostbusters franchise. Amy Karp, head of development at Ghost Corps, is also executive producing the series. Sony Pictures Animation is working with Netflix on the project, which is a very important detail. Sony has become one of the most exciting names in modern animation, thanks to projects like the Spider-Verse films and K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, that doesn't mean Night Shift will look like the Spider-Verse, and we should not claim that without confirmation. But it does mean the animation side has serious studio muscle behind it. Ben Hyben is another name worth watching. He's worked in animation and visual storytelling, including Star Trek Prodigy and the animated Tale of the Three Brothers sequence in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Elliot Kalin brings the comedy side. He's worked on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, Mystery Science Theater 3000, and other comedy projects. Reports have described him as a key writer and executive producer on the new series. So, based on the creative team, Night Shift seems to have the right ingredients: franchise knowledge, comedy experience, animation experience, and a clear connection to the current Ghostbusters universe. That's promising.
Ready? Get her!
Dan Aykroyd is back behind the scenes. If one person deserves enormous credit for the creation of the Ghostbusters, it's Dan Aykroyd. Aykroyd did not just co-write the original movie, he brought a lifetime of interest in the paranormal into the idea. His family had a long fascination with ghosts, spiritualism, and the unexplained. His father wrote about ghosts and seances, and Aykroyd himself has always spoken openly about his belief in paranormal possibilities. That background is part of what made Ghostbusters feel so specific. It wasn't just a comedy about people chasing ghosts, it mixed jokes with occult lore, pseudoscience, blue-collar business energy, and genuine supernatural imagination. Now, Aykroyd is attached to Ghostbusters Night Shift as an executive producer. That matters. It means one of the original creative voices of the franchise is involved behind the scenes. We don't yet know how hands-on he'll be with the series, but his presence gives the project a direct connection to the original spirit of Ghostbusters. And for fans, that's comforting, because no matter how fresh the show becomes, it still needs to feel like Ghostbusters. Not just another supernatural cartoon, not just another Netflix animated project, Ghostbusters.
We now return to the real Ghostbusters.
What does the logo tell us? The newly unveiled Ghostbusters Night Shift logo gives us a small hint at the show's style. It's still based on the classic Ghostbusters logo, the white ghost trapped behind the red no symbol, but this version looks rougher, stranger, and more monstrous. The ghost has a more aggressive mouth, clawed hands, yellow nails, rough line work, and a grungy comic book texture. Creative Block described the design as using elements like Ben-Day dot shading, scrawled line work, paint splatters, clawed hands, and a more monstrous-looking ghost. That does not confirm the plot. It does not prove that the show will focus on monsters instead of ghosts, but it does suggest a slightly edgier visual identity than the clean classic logo. It feels playful, spooky, and a little more chaotic. Some fans have already speculated that the logo could hint at a more comic book-inspired animation style. Again, that's only speculation for now. Netflix has not released a trailer, animation footage, or character designs yet. Still, the logo has done its job. It got people talking. It tells fans that Night Shift is not simply copying the past. It's using the classic iconography and twisting it just enough to feel fresh. That's exactly what a new animated Ghostbusters should do.
I am the grand, cool, ethereal.
Why animation makes sense for Ghostbusters. Honestly, animation may be one of the best formats for Ghostbusters. The franchise is built on a simple but flexible idea: weird supernatural cases, strange creatures, funny characters, and gadgets that barely feel safe to use. In live action, that can become expensive very quickly. Every ghost, monster, slime explosion, haunted building, and proton pack sequence needs heavy effects work. Animation removes a lot of those limits. A cartoon can send the Ghostbusters anywhere. Haunted subway tunnels, spirit-infested hotels, ghost ships, interdimensional portals, mythological creatures, demonic office buildings, cursed amusement parks. Anything is possible. That's one reason the real Ghostbusters works so well. It could go bigger, stranger, scarier, and sillier than the movies could on a weekly basis. Night Shift has the chance to do the same for a new generation. It can honor the original films, pull from the tone of Afterlife and Frozen Empire, and still create supernatural stories that would be too expensive or too strange for live action. That's exciting, because Ghostbusters should always feel like the world is full of weird things hiding just behind the walls. What we still don't know. Unfortunately, there's still a lot Netflix and Sony haven't revealed. We don't know the episode count. We don't know the voice cast. We don't know whether any original cast members will appear. We don't know whether the show follows a new team, the descendants of known characters, or a completely separate crew. We don't know whether Slimer, Muncher, Stay Puft, Gozer, Vigo, or any classic ghost will appear. We also don't know exactly where the show is set. The title Night Shift makes New York feel likely because the franchise is so deeply connected to the city, but that has not been officially confirmed. What we do know is that Netflix and Sony Pictures Animation are bringing Ghostbusters back to animation, the series is expected in 2027, and major franchise figures like Jason Reitman, Gil Kenan, Amy Karp, and Dan Aykroyd are involved. For now, that's enough to keep fans excited. Final thoughts. Unfortunately, that's all we have for now, folks. I wish I could give you more information. I have a lot of questions too. How many episodes will there be? Who's the voice cast? Are there any characters connected to the original 4 Ghostbusters? Will anyone from the first film return in voice form? Will the show be spooky enough for older fans while still fun enough for younger viewers? We'll have to wait patiently for those answers. But the good news is that Ghostbusters Night Shift is real. It has a title, it has a logo, it has a 2027 Netflix release window, and it has a creative team that understands the franchise. That's already a pretty strong start. As soon as we find out more, we'll come back and let you know. Until then, I have to say goodbye. I hope you liked the video. If you did, smash that thumbs up and let me know your theories about the new Ghostbusters in the comments below. Ta-ta!